Hello friends, welcome to my program Candid Talk from Northeast. Today I have with me eminent novelist and short story writer from Assam, Dr Arupa Patangia Kalita. Dr Arupa Patangia Kalita has 6 collections of novels, 10 collections of short stories. She has also penned down 2 novels for children titled Tanya and Kaitot Keteki. She was awarded prestigious Sahitya Academy for Muriam Austin Othoba Hira Borua, a collection of Assamese short stories in 2014, Bharatiya Bhasha Parishad Award in 1995, Shailesh Chandra Dasgupta Sahitya Setu Award in 2013, Katha National Award, Assam Valley Literary Award in 2015, Pravina Hoikia Award, Lekhika Homaru Sahitya Award, Eka Ebong Koekjon Sahitya Honman, Distinguished Women Award by Prague News, Srimoi Okhomi Bota, Golaghat Jatiya Bidyaloy Bota, Trailukyanath Goswami Memorial Award, and Pramod Chandra Brahma Literary Award. 2 of her celebrated novels, Ayananto has been translated into English as Dawn by Ranjita Biswas and Felani by Deepika Fukan. Both the novels were published by Juban. Felani was shortlisted for Crossword Awards. The Loneliness of Hira Borua is a collection of short stories translated into English by Ranjita Biswas, for which the translator receives Sahitya Academy Award in the category of translation. For this book, she also received Value of Awards. Dr. Kolita has translated Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye into Assamese as Khobatukoi Nila Sokuzuri. She taught English in Tongla College in Assam's Udalguri district. Welcome to my program, Arupa Patangia Kalita Video. Welcome. My first question is, the characters, metaphors and imageries you have been selected and created always give confidence and strength to every reader. How were you drawn to this amazing world of literature?
So, I'm glad that my works can instill confidence in someone else.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad for it. And thanks for coming to my home.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to know that my first entry
Yes.
into the world of literature.
Yeah.
So in order to trace it, I have to go back to my past.
Yeah.
Long ago. At that time, I was barely a girl of 9 or 10 years old. One day, our family, we returned from Jorhat to Golaghat, my hometown, after attending a family festival. And we crossed the Hamdoi Pathar and then the Rohdhala Pathar.
Yeah.
It's a sprawling paddy field, and it was night, around 11 or 12. It was pitch dark. We crossed that field, and suddenly, from our car, I saw an orange color flame amidst the pitch dark field, paddy field, and it was bright against the backdrop of darkness. And suddenly, to my amazement, the flame, it was divided into 4 or 5 parts. And all the fires, they danced. And I was totally mesmerized. And it was, I think you can understand, it was a Dhongulur Jui or Will o' the Whips.
Yeah.
My grandmother, she scolded me, don't look at those fires. They are mysterious, they are ghostly, and you know, there is a spirit, and the demon will accompany you if you stare at the flames in such a way. But I didn't listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you saw that fire.
Yeah. 5 or 6 flames, fires dancing in the pitch dark, that Rohdhala Pathar. And we reached home, and I experienced a wonderful feeling. The flames, the fire, didn't go away from my vision. Secretly, I was horrified. I thought the Aita was right. The demon or the spirit of the fire, it is inside me. I was horribly disturbed. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. And I took a piece of paper and pen and I began to write that experience.
Okay.
And the vision of the flames went away from my eyes. And I can resume my daily life. So that was my first piece of writing.
Okay, yeah.
At that time I was barely 9 or 10. And you know, Ratna, that flame, it is still inside me.
Yeah.
It is coming to me in that
Yes,
form
the
or
flame
another.
is inside you, yeah.
In
can
form of another.
Yes.
It comes in the form of Minoti, it comes of Felane,
Yeah.
and then Arunima, and I have to write it.
Okay. 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 So you
Then you know,
Uh-huh.
I went to the Gulahat Mission Girls High School and I wrote small stories published in the Children Corner.
Okay.
And there are so many stories. What did I write? I write what I saw.
Yeah.
About a beggar, about my friend
Then
who was crippled.
since your childhood, you actually try to write on real life stories.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I wrote about the maid servant who didn't have the chance to go to her home during the Bihu festival.
Okay.
About a fisherman. Little stories, little pieces, and they were published. And then I went to the college, and you know that my youth was passed amidst the 70s.
Yeah, but at that time you didn't understand how important it is to write on real life stories, like no.
No.
But that was just an instinct.
I didn't understand
Yeah.
that. Just I write what I saw. That's all. So some things that disturbed me, then like the fire, then I began to write it. So one of my friend, she was crippled, and with the crippled feel, she has to come to the school. I wrote a story about her. I saw a fisherman, and I wrote a story about the fisherman. In this way, I wrote little pieces and little short stories. And of course, those stories were acclaimed.
Obviously, yeah. Because it touches. It could touch the heart of people. Yeah, readers.
Then I passed my youth during the 70s. 70s was the decade of the rebellion. It was the decade of protest.
Yes.
It was decade of the Naxal movements. And at that time, a definite leftist leaning was there. And we the students, we read a lot of magazines. So we didn't have TVs in that period. We had only books. We read a lot of books, and little magazines were there.
Okay.
I wrote in these little magazines like Bimbo, Hamprati Khamoyeki, Sitar Bukur Sarai, etc. Or Ronokhetrot Kobita. And we used to read many Bengali little magazines.
During that time.
During that time. And I read about the stories from Vietnam, the novels of Sing Sing Mai from China. So we read a lot. And another point is that, so there were with the students, we were drawn towards drama. And there were drama festivals in our college. So we were interested in dramas also. And in such a creative period, I passed my youth. And then I came to Guwahati University. Then I began to write some adult stories. So the journey goes on like that.
Yeah. Okay. So you always try to give voice to the voiceless and always represent the oppressed class in your literary work. You try to empower them through your words. Do you believe that creative writers need to follow certain ideology to give voice to voiceless people?
So that you want to say that I give voice to the voiceless people. Actually, our mainstream society or mainstream history or the mainstream literary trends, they have a tendency to overlook the marginalized people.
Yes.
And generally, I have tried to pick up those unsung heroes and heroines.
Yes.
So it's a Durgi.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the freedom fighter, and she was the symbol of the colonial exploitation. So when I want to write about Durgi, I couldn't find any materials, you see. But when I want to write about the Sahibs, the white people, lots of materials were available. So I can talk about the white people with you for 2 or 3 hours.
Archival materials is also there. Yeah.
Everything is there. Archives are there, magazines are there.
Yeah.
I can tell you about the food habit of the white people, about their dresses. Even I can tell you the ingredients that the Mem Sahibs used to make their cakes. But when I want to write about Durgi, the history was totally silent. So I want to give voice to Durgi.
Yes.
In this way, in Phelani,
Yeah.
also I have tried to...
And even the characters of the short stories.
Yeah, that's true.
Practically they are voiceless people.
Voiceless people, invisible people.
Invisible, yeah.
They are marginalized. The people of all the women of Phelani, they were marginalized.
Yeah.
And they were treated as some wastage by the mainstream society. And I have tried to give them voice. And while doing it, so there is no definite ideology. But a viewpoint is there. I think viewpoint is very important. How do you look at things? So Thomas Hardy, he was a man, but he wrote Tales of the Rural Valleys about a woman, about a pure woman. For this novel, he was ostracized by the Victorian literary society. So, but remember, he was a man. So that was, it is possible because of his viewpoint.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is one little, that is one single example. There are many examples. Viewpoint is very necessary while we look at things. And my viewpoint is certainly determined by a particular ideology.
Yeah.
But I don't write according to the dictates of the ideology.
Yes.
So you see, the Dawn or the Oyananto.
Yeah.
I have portrayed the character of Bina.
Yes.
Bina, she is a very weak character, isn't? Very weak. She succumbed to the social pressures.
Yes.
She couldn't fight in spite of her strong character.
Yeah.
So, but Tagore,
Yes.
she was a different character. So here, I didn't impose my ideology on Bina.
Yeah, that's the beauty of your literature. You never try to impose but just the flow, the characters. But you pick up from those realities. The ground reality is very different from where you pick up the characters or protagonists.
From our society.
Yeah.
So you see, ours is a class divided society. And in our society, 90% people, they are deprived.
Yes.
And 1% people, they enjoy the wealth that we have produced.
Yes.
And I am one of those 90% people. We suffer.
Yeah.
In different ways. And the condition of the 90% people, this is the reality of our society.
Yes.
And I have always tried to pick up the characters from the majority group.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't impose it. So, Tagore, the character of Tagore, I don't impose any dictates from my ideology to make her strong.
Even Phelani,
Yes.
they're just normal human being.
Normal human being they are.
They're just writing her story.
Yeah.
They
are all normal human beings.
Yeah.
So, I want to tell their stories, but I never impose my ideology. But remember, there is a distinct viewpoint, and distinct viewpoint is that is my analysis of the socio-political condition of the society where we live. And I believe that every character of my novel or short story is being shaped by the socio-economic structure of our society which we live. Our society, class divided society, it's an unhealthy society. So people suffer a lot.
Yes.
Yes. And
They also suffocate.
yes, there is a suffocation everywhere. There is a suffocation, and I want to bring all these things in my works. And yes, I do not like to portray all the stories of the misery. Me too like to write about flowers, about stars, about moon.
All of us, we love to.
We love to write it. But our society in such a condition that I don't afford to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that we are writers and we have some historical responsibility.
Yeah.
And I cannot write the characters bringing from the Never Never Land.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Baidu. And one of the most enchanting facts of your creative work is that you pick up characters from almost an invisible world, the world of deprived people or class, and create a language that draws parallel attention of readers, literary reviewers, and academic researchers simultaneously, which is very crucial. What make it happen? Your signature style of writing or stories that mirrors the harsh realities of life? It's quite interesting to see that all of us, it draws immediate attention to a reader or an academic researcher or reviewers. How do you create that language?
So I'm glad to know about the fact that the people or the readers, they take some academic interest also. Of course, there are young people, they are interested in my works and they have carried out research projects based on my works.
Yes.
Yes.
Perhaps you are one of those, fortunate Assamese writers, those writers written in Assamese, who writes on Assamese language, whose works are mostly available on net.
Yes. So
the presence is quite satisfactory.
Yeah. So you want to know that how do I portray the harsh realities around me?
How do you create that environment which simultaneously draws attention to almost all section of people?
So I do not know whether all section of the people, the society, they like my works. But what do I write? I write about the sky above my head. I write about the river that I see. I write about the people around me. I write about the time, about the history where I exist. And I don't live in an ivory tower.
Yeah.
I live among the people and I suffer with the people. And I want to write about them. So yes, the reality is very harsh. It is true. So for example, take the character of Arunima in Arunimar Sodese. So remember those days of secret killings. It was a horrible time and the people of Assam, they were at loss. They couldn't reconcile with the time. And during that time, I wrote the Arunima's Sodese and how Arunima's beautiful home was shattered. Of course, such incidents took place at that period. It was not my imagination. Arunima is not my imagination.
Yes.
This is a real life character. And what I have described in that story is a replica of some incidents that took place during the period. So please let me read out some, some passages from that Arunima's. So Arunima, she came to her home, anticipating. So remember, I wrote that novella before information technology.
Yeah.
Yes. She didn't know what happened to her home. She came and what did she find? So let me read out some lines to you. So there was the bomb blast, and the home was shattered, and the house, her house, where is the house? What happened to it? 3/4 of it was blown up. There was no tin roof, walls or pillars. What was left of the house were only burnt cinders. A few flickers of the fire showed up here and there. The wooden splinters had been thrown up the oak tree. The roof was still burning. Everything around, the bamboo trees, the betel nut trees were burned to their roots. She stood frozen with the baby in her arms. So that was her home.
Yeah.
Then her people, the word tumbled out the trembling lips. She followed the eyes of the crowd and saw, lying on the road, 3 clothed bundles of burnt flesh. Now 2 soldiers brought out a cloth bag with a burnt, dismembered leg. They threw it near the 3 bundles and went inside again. 2 policemen were searching something in the burnt cinders.
Yeah.
So that was her home.
Yes.
That was her relatives, her loving ones.
Yes.
So actually, the description which I given, it is not from imagination. I picked up the description from the reality.
From the reality.
At that time it happened.
Yes.
Lots of people, they were changed into bundle of flesh.
Yes.
Yes.
The moment you even I can remember those words.
Yeah.
It's so horrifying. I mean, that reading that novella is
Yeah.
itself is a different experience. Actually, the words were very different.
So though I wrote about that horrible days.
Yeah.
And I want to say you, Ratna, while I wrote that novella, literally I cried for several times. So there's a title of my short story, they're written in tears. So those writings were written in tears. Written in tears.
Yeah.
So this is her reality, and what I saw, I reproduced in my works. I think that is why people, they find it close to their heart.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, that is
Maybe.
true. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Because this is reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apart from Orodima's Shodis, a large volume of your literary work comes from the backdrop of armed conflict situation. You have written short stories, novels, and novella on the backdrop of armed conflict situation and ethnic clashes. They have received enthusiastic responses from wider audience. Experiences of women in humanitarian crisis form a large part of this kind of literature. Will you please tell our viewers about your experiences on conflict literature?
So it is, somebody may term it as conflict literature, or they may term it in some other way.
It has become a narrative because
it's a narrative, yes.
Yeah.
But actually, while I wrote those pieces, the narrative was not in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, it was given later on.
Later on, yeah.
So again, I wrote what I saw. So conflict, I worked in Tangla College, and I lived there for 40 years. And I saw, and as a teacher, as a college teacher, I saw how the movements had affected the students. Generally, the movements, they affect the student community. I saw it, I feel it with my heart. So I saw some movement. My docile, loving, caring students, they were completely changed.
Yes.
They demanded, in my examination hall, they demanded that you must give their chance to copy. They bring out some books.
Yeah.
And they bullied us. So it was a dream for us before. So my gentle students, they were transformed totally, demanding some books to copy in the examination hall. They were altercation among us. And we were, one of our professors, not one actually, many professors, the lecturers, they were being attacked by the students. So those were not our students. They were transformed.
Yes.
The effect of Assam movement. Then came Alpha. Some of our students, they went to the hills. They became Alpha. Then we saw Sulpha. Some of our students, they were turned into Sulphas. And we can see the transformation of the youth during that period. Then came the Boro movement, and anarchy was there. And I felt that anarchy in my pulse. So you see, what I wrote at that time was the outcome of my own experience. So I think you remember, my college principal was shot dead in front of our gate, Dr. Ganesha Soria. We had to face a grenade attack in our common room. And I myself had the bear the bullies of the extortionists. We have to give money in order to buy peace. So in Jolotarangor that is my story. So at that period also I wrote about these things. And the society.
And you also created some amazing characters like Pamela Bengi.
Yes, Pomila Bengi. Yes,
Pomila Bengi.
Yes, yes.
In that background, it's such an interesting character.
Yes,
we
yes,
never forget her. I mean, we have to carry her pains and feelings inside us.
So that this third time has created many characters. Different type of characters. Different type of. So you mentioned Pomila Bengi. Okay, may I read some lines from Pomila Bengi?
Of course.
Okay. Okay, let me tell you about her. I myself saw her in the Thana. One woman, she was brought there in order to identify the body of her son. But that woman, she was a woman of deemed wit. Instead of identifying her son, that woman, she was interested in the vendors outside the Thana complex. And that face of the deemed wit, Pomila, so I couldn't forget. And the picture, it was inside me like the flame. It begins to burn, and then I have created Pomila Bengi. So Pomila Bengi, actually she was a healthy woman, healthy farm woman, beautiful, hardworking, and happy with whatever she had. But later on, we can find that the insane time has turned her into a woman of deemed wit. And let me read out some lines from her, from the story. So Pomila Bengi, she was not able to withstand the terror and the cruelty that has been inflicted upon her. She couldn't stand. That simple woman, she was not prepared for such a life. So her father was, he was a farmer, and her husband, he was also a farmer. Mohan's father. Mohan's father had gone to the bazaar with a sack of cabbages grown in their kitchen garden, but returned as a lump of flesh bundled into a sack. Her husband returned home as a bundle of flesh, And in those days, there were many bomb blasts in the market areas.
Those incidents were very common.
Common incidents. Pomila didn't understand why they burst the bomb in a bazaar where ordinary people were doing their work. She only understood that her man, the one who hovered around her with a heart full of love, like a honeycomb ripe with honey, was no more. He had left her forever. She didn't understand the causes of the bomb blast. Only she knows that she has lost her husband with a heart full of love like a honeycomb. So that is Pomila Bengi.
Yeah.
So I have written about another girl, Numoli.
Numoli.
Numoli, yes. She was also as simple as
Pomila
Bengi. Simple village girl.
Yeah.
She also doesn't understand the insane time. It is beyond their comprehension. The time was tangled, time was insane. So this village, these simple girls, Numoli, or simple women like Pomila, they didn't understand the tangled time, the insane time, the disturbed time. Only they suffer. So Numoli, she died into a crossfiring between army and the insurgents. That was also a real incident. I picked up that case to create Pomila, that is a Numoli. So Numoli, she embraces her premature death. So let me read out some lines from that is Numoli. So Pomila Bengi, somehow she survived.
Yes.
Though she continued to live as a woman of deemed weak, still she managed to survive. But Numoli, she embraced a premature death, and her death was very tragic. So it was a real incident. And you know, Ratna, that behind all my stories there are some real characters.
Yes, always there.
Always there. So I cannot imagine the character of Pomila Bengi.
That's why you are different from others.
So, I cannot imagine the character of Pomila Bengi or Numoli. I can't. It is not possible for me. So there was a crossfiring between the insurgent and the army. Pomila Bengi, she was amidst them. Instantly, the man straightened. Suddenly, the whole area reverberated with the sound of bullet shots coming from the direction of her Borpita's house. The air was filled with the smell of explosives. Before she knew what was happening, the man caught hold of her. That is the soldier, the armed man. His strong hands pressing her against his chest like a shield, aiming his revolver at her uncle's house. In reply to every shot of his, bullets were raining on them from all sides. Insurgents were there. The man kept jumping up and down like a cat, forward then backward. Suddenly, something pierced the left side of her bosom, the bosom of Numoli. She wanted to cry out, "Oh, Boti," but couldn't roll out her tongue. She heard her mother's voice once. "What happened to my dear Majoni?" After that, a deafening sound behind the cowshed. And with that sound, her little world of red-dotted fish, singing cuckoos, blossoming mango flowers, her mother's love, her brother's affection, and the red patterns on the gamusa that sparkled on her loom all fell silent. Her head wilted and dropped like the plucked blades of sorrel. On her white saddle appeared the red color of blood, the stains tough and ugly, as if some careless, unskilled weaver had tried to weave a confused border on sparkling white cotton. And Numoli died. And even she didn't understand how it happened. You know, her family also. So, in this way, I have tried to bring out the character from the conflict-ridden period that I have seen. I have seen those, so I felt the conflict-ridden time in my own pulse.
Yes.
And I have survived. Somehow, I survived. And
in
today
fact,
I can
many
talk
of
with you.
us, we tried to, write stories or novels on that backdrop, and you are the torchbearer, and you are the real inspiration for all of us. Actually, really.
I do not know whether I am a torchbearer or not.
Yes, because we learned a lot. How to write, how to pick up the characters, and whom issues to be focused. These are really learning experiences for readers and writers like us.
So you see, we can remember Brecht, my most favorite poet, that shall we sing when the days are dark? Yes, days are dark. But shall we sing? Certainly. We will sing the songs of the days wrapped in darkness. So, let's sing.
Yeah.
Let's sing the songs that are wrapped in darkness. And those stories, they were some songs that were wrapped in darkness.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I sang. Yeah.
Yeah, you are the bird. Yeah, really. And Arupa Patangia Kalita Baido, how important is the freedom of expression for a creative writer? Do you think contemporary writers in India are facing challenges of attempt to curtail their freedom of expression?
So you see, freedom of expression is a right for us. We must have freedom of expression to write what I feel. So we must have it. And if freedom of expression was curtailed, I couldn't create the characters like Pomila Bengi, Orunima, or Numoli, or the characters of Felani or Durge. So we must have the freedom of expression so that we can write what we want. So this is a must. But you see, there is a tendency to silence the protesting voices. So we can see so many murders and deaths, even.
Also threatenings.
Yeah, threatening, yes. But again, I want to remember Brecht.
Yes.
This maybe days may be dark, but we must sing.
Yeah.
So freedom of expression is a must.
Yes.
There is no question.
Yeah.
If we want us to write, freedom of expression must be there.
Yes.
And I want it. That is our right. If they don't give it, we'll snatch it.
Yes.
We'll snatch it. Freedom of expression is our birthright.
So, Baido, those actually days, the conflict-ridden days, apparently those days are over as of now. And of late, you have been writing a series of stories with part-time women workers as protagonists, who work as domestic help in city areas. And in this series, you have told their stories about their backgrounds, stories of migration, struggle in the city areas, and others. Have you adopted any particular methodology while portraying this particular group of women in your creative work?
Not actually, I don't follow any methodology. Again, the same point, I have tried to recreate life. And I have seen the women who are migrated to the city in order to earn their livelihood. And it becomes very common now. And there is, yes, the insurgency period, it was, maybe we can say that it was over.
Yes.
Apparently,
Apparently,
it was not here.
Yes.
So we cannot find characters like Pomila Bengi or Orunima or that is Numoli in our society. But there is another kind of conflict, that is economic conflict. So economic hardship. So economic hardship is there, and lots of women, they were forced to migrate to the city. And I have seen many maid servants, even my Uzan Bazar Elaka, Happy Villa Elaka, I have seen them. They came to the city, rented a room, and 3 or 4 women, they live together. And they work in the flats. And they earned a substantial money. And with that, they had to feed their children, give them education. So there is another
they
conflict.
Also survive. They have to survive themselves.
Yes, that is so. So this is the outcome of a society which is completely faulty in the structure. So there is no equal distribution of wealth.
Yes.
No equal distribution. That is why these people, they have to suffer. So again, I want to give voice to the voiceless people, and I want to praise their dreams. I want to tell them about their lives. So this is a completely different world that I have to encounter. Completely different world.
Yes.
I had to face a completely different world among those
Their experiences are very different from what you experience.
Yes, completely different. So let me tell you about one maidservant. Still, I don't read the story yet now. I will write it. So, she worked in a household, aristocratic household. They were very rich, but they were decadent. And they sold out their properties, and you can say that they are pauper now. And the maidservant, she married the son of that decadent family. And carrying the gene of a decadent, that is a well-placed, rich family, he was handsome. And this maidservant, he was headlong in love with that man. And she worked from morning to night in order to give him good food, in order to supply his wine, in order to supply good, that is, cloth. And she begged their malkins and maliks some after-shave lotions or some shards for her husband. So that's a different character.
Yes.
And I can find some other characters also. So I have written Maluti's dream, then another, that is life, to Jibon, Tothapi Jibon. In these stories, I have tried to write about those maidservants. And that is their invisible life, marginalized life, like Felani.
Yes.
The background is different, the characters is different, but the nature is same, the character is same.
Yeah, I think this will be a very special kind of short story collection will be yours in coming days.
So,
So, and apart from your literary works on the backdrop of conflict or real life situations, you are a very close observer to nature. Like Tukura Bahar Hunor Beji, it's full of nature. Like, how do you observe nature in literature?
So we don't have to observe nature. We are a part of it. We are a part of it, and there should not be any dichotomy between nature and human being. It happened, but there shouldn't be. So I think, do you remember the last chapter or the last lines of Felani? So let me read out some lines.
Sure.
The relation between nature and human being. So in the last chapter of Felani, so we can find that women, they were mingled with the reeds, isn't? I think you remember it.
Yes.
So let me read you. So this will answer your question very properly. So Felani and their friends, they went to the riverside in order to cut the reeds, reeds for their rooftops. So there they stood still looking at the view in front of them. The reeds were an endless sea of white. They were like velvet feather brooms every swaying in the wind, bending the sea of white in the direction of the wind. When a black cloud covered the sun, one could see just a thin silver border lining the black. From this silver border, bits and pieces of silver fell on the white sea below. It was a beautiful sight. Standing them with the silver stars, the entire silver-studded white sea played along in the waves right up to the row of blue hills beyond. The blue hills, the white sea of the reeds, So the women, this is nature, isn't it? Pure nature. And
they find solace there. Like
They are the part of the nature. How? So in the last part, in the last lines of my novel, so we can find that they cut reeds or the kahibon. So the bund and rain comes. The bundles were getting wet now. Felani was worried. The reeds are getting wet. She cried out to Joan's mother. So what? She answered. They will rot, won't they? So Felani was a bit inexperienced. Spread them out in the sun to dry. What if there is no sun? What nonsense! there cannot be many wet days in winter. If these lots rots, then come back and cut some more. You cannot finish the ocean of reeds, can you? The seeds have wings, remember. They come floating in the river, they fly. When they hit the barren soil, they germinate. So in this point we can find
even felony, the beginning part also, it sets with a very unique natural backdrop. Nature is very dominant. In the
it's
first
very
part
close,
of the story. First part of the novel.
Yeah, first one. So here we can see the Junorma, Minoti, Felani, they are completely mixed with the reeds. As if there is no difference between the reeds and those marginalized women. So they germinate where they can put their faith. Okay. So here we see there is no dichotomy between human being and nature. So that is why I see there should not be any difference between man and nature. So this is artificial. We are a part of nature, and in my stories you can find that my characters are always connected with nature.
And that is the when we read the stories on the conflict of backdrop, on the backdrop of conflict, when we find nature there, we also find kind of solace.
That's true. So my last story that published in Prokach recently, Atmio, the relative, the woman, she recovers from the death consciousness with the help of her flowers. That is nature, and here nature represents the human society.
The companion. Yes. Dr. Arupa Patangia Kalita, you are a teacher and you used to teach in college. Simultaneously, you are a teacher for your next generation writers too, although you do not teach them directly. We learn a lot about the craft and style from your short stories and novels. You have close relationships with younger generation writers. How hopeful you are about their work?
So, I do not think that I have the talent or capacity to become a teacher for the next generation.
But you really are.
So I don't know. Time will tell. Okay. But I'm very hopeful about the new generation. And you see, Ratna, that now new generation, they are confused. Very much confused.
Actually, there are people who always try to make them confused.
That is the politics.
Yes.
So, human being, every man or woman, they are the outcome of the social structure. And our social structure is so entangled. So, the new generation, they are a bit confused. So, but I am very hopeful about them.
Do you have any message to them, the younger generation writers?
So, among the younger generation writers, there are many talents, and I read their works very sincerely. I have tried to read their each and every publication, and they are very talented, and I am very hopeful. And one point I want to tell you about the new generation, that new breed of writers, you read foreign works. You have to read it. The translation and other world literature, we have read it, but don't copy it. And don't copy it and try to boast as new innovations. So write it in your own way and try to be rooted. And another point is that writing or pursuing a literary career is not a means for earning fame, money, or it is not a path to mingle with the establishment, but literature is a quest for truth. And I want to tell the new breed of writers that writing is a historical responsibility, and don't deny it. And take up the responsibility, be honest, and write produce good works, and the world will come to you.
Yes, very true, very true. By the way, my last question is why writing in mother tongue is important?
Writing in mother tongue is very important because you see that English is a language for me. It's a question of bread and butter. English is a language which I have to learn. But mother language, my Assamese, it comes to me naturally.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is true that I don't have that command over English language to write about Durgi, Pomila Bingi or Numuli. I can create those characters in my own language. So, because this is a language which English is a language we have learned, and Assamese comes so naturally, and I can use the folk tales, myths, and other things that I have used extensively used in my works in my mother language only. And there are some translation also. So some of my works are translated, and the translations are quite good. But I want to write in my own language. So writing in mother language is different from writing in a language that we learn.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Arupa Patangia Kalita Baidew. You are a guiding source and inspiration for all of us. We wish you a very highly creative life. We shall wait for your bold and powerful words. Thank you, viewers. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I shall come back with another guest in coming episode of Candid Talk from Northeast. Till then, goodbye.
Thank you, Ratna.
Thank you so much, Baidew.